Hello, everyone. Welcome to the season finale of For the Fans podcast. This is it. This is the last episode of what season 5, 4,
Six.
6? Really 6?
Yikes.
Sheesh. Season 6 for me and McKay. Season 1 for Matt and Tyler.
Heck yeah.
Gosh.
No, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. It's nice talking football every week.
For sure.
Because talking to yourself doesn't really work the same.
That's
Oh,
true.
it does when you have voices in your head.
Yeah. And Tyler's finally with us too. He's back.
I was starting to think that Tyler was just a ghost or something in my imagination that we just made up.
That imaginary friend.
That voice that never quite goes away.
Yeah.
And he's quiet here at the moment.
Yep. He's super quiet.
Oh man.
He's concentrating super hard.
Right.
Oh, and now he's
Oh,
gone.
Oh,
And he drops.
We offended
Man.
him.
Oh,
we
and-
offended him.
Oh,
Okay, he's
oh,
back.
he's back.
I'm here.
There we go.
Oh, weird.
Gosh. Now, I just want to kick this off. Real quick. Was anyone else partially concerned that the Chiefs were going to make a bigger comeback than 28-3?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad I wasn't the only
I
one.
was excited
100%.
I saw the score was like 20, what was it, 26-0?
Yeah,
I saw 26
Yep.
nothing,
Did
and I
you
think
see
I
my
tested. I
text?
was like, I feel like this is just gonna be a bigger comeback, and then it's gonna solidify Mahomes as the GOAT.
Right. Bro, when it got to 37-6, I was like, oh, it's gonna happen. You know?
Ugh. I
Not
was
because I
never
knew
not
he could.
scared.
Yeah. It's not that I knew he could, it was more of like all of a sudden it's just the whole field is littered with yellow flags.
Yeah.
Yep. I was waiting for it. I was just like, this isn't over until I see like everything is ending.
Yeah. But hey, they actually let them play. It was wild.
I will say,
Crazy.
I also don't know how I feel about the new onside kick rule.
I hate
I
that
like
rule.
it. I like
Yeah.
it.
I hate that it's only in the fourth quarter. I hate that you have to be losing, and I hate that I think the part that I hate the most, you have to announce that you're doing it.
Same.
Yeah.
That's the stupidest part of the rule. It completely
It just takes
defeats
all
the
the fun
purpose
out of
of the
it.
surprise.
Yeah.
But I mean, with the changes to the original kickoff format, it made sense. I hate kickoffs now.
I think if they change anything with the onside kick thing, I think instead of, letting them, let them know, but I think it'd be more entertaining if they still lined up the same, where they're like 5 yards apart, and then they do the onside kick. And it's just more of like, it doesn't really matter how far it travels. I guess if I would travel at least 10 yards, but it's just like, whoever can grab it, grabs it. That would be kind of cool.
I mean, I will say this is just me finding it funny, lining up for the onside kick and then just doing the normal kickoff.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna onside kick it and then just boot it. But
Well, I think that's one of the most exciting parts of college football, right? I love it when they pull a middle of the game random onside kick. I think it's so much fun. It adds to the experience and it can change the momentum of a game. But it's time that they've essentially
Hasn't there been an
ruled
NFL
that
team
out.
that did it like on opening kickoff?
I'm sure there's got
Yeah.
to be.
there's gotta be something like that in the
So
past.
weird. Yeah.
I need to find this.
Yeah. I do think with this new rule change, I don't know if it's on the topic, but one thing they do need to change is you can't just kick it to the back of the end zone. Like, if you kick it back of the end zone, they start on the 45.
Huh.
Like, the kicker has to be good enough to place it in that 20-yard space. I think
Yeah,
that
I see
has
that.
to be a rule. No, it's like, yeah. It's like, no, like, you can't just kick it to the back. Like, no, you have to make it land within the 1 yard line to the 20. If not, they
Oh.
start on the 45. So it's
Okay.
like, oh no, you can't just boot it to the back. Like, it has to be returnable.
So that onside kick thing, that what we were talking about to open up the game, that actually happened very recently.
Let me guess, it was the Jets.
No, the Broncos did it with Sean Payton
Okay.
as the coach.
He likes to be interesting like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me.
They did it against the Raiders.
Of course they did.
Oh, but then I think they recovered it, but then they got a penalty for illegal touching. Oh yeah, because one.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Looking at it, I don't know what happened. Anyways,
Yeah. That's funny.
all right, let's dive into this a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we got to recap, obviously, the some of the big moments from the Super Bowl, and then we're going to kind of just really recap a lot of the season here with some fun moments mixed in between. We look a little ahead to next year. But let's start off here with this most recent Super Bowl. The first question that we have, this is the question that we kind of ask always after each Super Bowl going into the end of the season, and that is, where does this Super Bowl rank in Super Bowls all time? How do we feel about this one? I know.
Number 3.
I don't even think it's in my top 5, honestly.
I don't think it's in mine either, but Matt, I'm curious to hear your reasoning.
Is it
as
because
far
the
as
Chiefs
numbers.
lost?
100%. That's all it was. Just all the hype that it built up to, and then they just got absolutely trashed. Was like the best Super Bowl for me.
But we gotta
Yeah.
give the Chiefs credit. They came closer to breaking history and doing what no one else has ever done before. Yes, they choked, but they came closer to history than anyone else.
But at the same time, they had one of the worst losses too. So
Yeah.
it's like, should have they been there? Probably not. But for me, I won't say it's number 3, but it's definitely in my top 10, just because of all the hype that they had, all the stuff they had coming up, and then they just got absolutely decimated.
I gotta stop you
Confidence
there,
they
though,
had.
on one thing. On
Just
one
saying.
thing, though, is I don't think that there's any way you could say that the Chiefs were not a good enough team to be in the postseason. Maybe there.
Oh, I
was
never
better
said not
teams.
to be in the postseason. I'm just saying
Right.
they should have been in the Super Bowl.
I know, but I feel like we almost get a little too carried away when we say that they didn't deserve to be there. And I'm like, I mean, they beat a crazy good Bills team.
That's what I was
They
gonna say.
had a fantastic season. They were 15-1, no matter how close the games were. I mean, still impressive. They just, I mean, I think everyone can acknowledge that they had one of the worst games they've had in years, and the Eagles had one of the best games they've ever had. Hurts looked better than he's ever looked.
I think that what it comes down to, Tyler, to your point, is that the biggest reason probably why the Chiefs lost in the Super Bowl is because they were not equipped. The offense was not equipped to play a defense like Philly. I looked back
Right.
at their schedule. There was not a single defense they played this season that could compare to Philly's defense.
Well,
We talked
because the
about-
Eagles had the number one defense. I mean, unless they played the Eagles.
Well,
Yeah.
not according to everyone else. The Chiefs had the best defense.
Well, they had a maybe top 5, but
They
don't
had a
know.
top 5. I think
Everyone
the
said-
Eagles.
They were
Oh,
the
boy.
best defense. Just saying.
Really?
Based off of, like, I've seen replays all day today of all the announcers, all the analysts saying they have the best defense. They have the best defense. And then someone would say, well, what about the Eagles? Oh, they're second best. Yeah, everyone was saying it. That's all.
Interesting.
Like,
Interesting.
statistically, probably not. Like, the Eagles had a better numbers team, but just the fact they're like, oh, they hold everyone to 30 points. Ugh. It's like, okay, stop. Like, their defense,
Yeah.
not saying they did really good stopping the ball, but they couldn't do anything.
I'll say this: I do believe that if you do have to put specific blame on like who was responsible on the Chiefs side for this loss, it's not the defense. I'll be honest with you. Like, yes, of course, because like I feel like the defense did a good enough job. You know, they did the best they could trying to hold off the Eagles, but they couldn't stay within the game.
They pretty
the
well
defense-
shut down the run.
I was
yeah,
gonna
they
say,
were
I
able-
was actually just about to look that up, the stats.
Yeah, they
for
kept
it. Well,
Barkley at bay. I think if you want to put specific blame on someone, and again, I know it's like, you know, it's the old cliche of it's like, well, yeah, of course you're gonna put the blame on them, and I'm not doing it to like throw shade at him, but it kind of has to be on Patrick Mahomes simply because of it wasn't a good game for him, and some of the mistakes he made were incredibly costly. I mean, 2 interceptions, one that was a pick six, and lost a fumble that basically put the Eagles, right back where they wanted to be.
Right.
Let me break this down.
was
The
stuff
Eagles
like that.
did have the best defense in the league. Their yards per average was 278.4, and they allowed 33 touchdowns on the season. The Chiefs' defense ranked at number 9, allowing 320.6 yards per average and 37 touchdowns throughout the season. This is not including playoff. So, to break it down, the Eagles by far had the best defense.
Yeah, and they held Barkley to 57 yards.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that Barkley was kind of a limited factor, but I guess that is good because they were so focused on Barkley that it opened up more in the air game.
Yeah.
Well,
It
that's
was
how
bound.
they beat them.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. So.
Also, if you're a
Yeah,
Giants fan, you are both happy but very
Like-
upset.
Did anyone see the video afterwards though? Like when they were at the post game booth, and there was cake at the post game booth, and
Yep.
like Cooper DeJean, and it was just like he was handed a piece of cake, and he was kind of like, oh okay. Jalen wasn't even eating. Jalen Hurts was just staring down Saquon, who was just going to town
just-
on the cake.
Dude, that one slice freaking vanished, dude.
I love
Yeah.
Saquon.
Pounded that.
Saquon
Like,
has become
you
one of my
know,
favorite players.
He hadn't had sugar like all season, and he was just like, I'm taking advantage of this crap.
Yeah.
Also, Cooper DeJean getting a pick six touchdown on what is highly touted as the best quarterback in the league in the Super Bowl on his birthday is just
On
icing
his
on
birthday.
the cake.
And he's a rookie.
Yeah.
And he's a rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's CB1. Everyone thinks he's not. I'm like, oh no, he's their number one corner.
Also,
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy on the Chiefs side, we'll talk about this for just like 1 second, has the most receiving yards by a rookie wide receiver in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Really?
He did well. Like,
Mhm.
he was able to get out in space when.
He had like 176 yards.
Yeah.
He seems like he
Have you
wanted it
seen
more than
that?
anyone else on the team.
He's a speedster. The dude is quick.
And to
Anytime he
think-
got the ball, he outran him.
And to think, the
Yeah.
Bills traded with the Chiefs so the Chiefs could get him.
Right.
Yeah, 157 yards on 8 catches.
Yeah.
He averaged about 20 yards per catch.
That's crazy.
Also, DeAndre Hopkins, I believe he announced his retirement. I don't know if any of you knew that. I saw it for
I
like
did
1
not hear
second.
that.
The who? Sorry, huh?
Hopkins.
Hopkins.
Oh, DeAndre Hopkins. Brandon Graham announced his retirement too.
Sheesh.
But we knew going into the game that Brandon Graham was going to retire. This was more, but
I
yeah,
like
the DeAndre
it.
Hopkins one, that's interesting. Okay, so I think we've kind of cleared up, and just as far as our personal thoughts on the Super Bowl and where it ranks, we're happy with the outcome because, yeah, it does not guarantee the Chiefs three-peat. I think we have to put the shine on the spotlight, and I think we did, talking especially about players like Cooper DeJean, that, hey, the Eagles won, the Eagles came to play, the Eagles played well. We should recognize that the Eagles are the winners more so than the Chiefs are the losers. I think that's the narrative that we do at least need to dispel
Oh,
because all the
they-
media is talking about is the Chiefs are
Yeah.
the losers.
And they dominated. Like, I loved even rewatching some of the plays. That 4 up front, dude, they were on the same page the entire game. Like,
Well, and
they-
I read a stat that said they only blitzed once or twice
No.
the entire game.
They never blitzed with
Crazy.
5 men. They only
blitzed one time.
did they? I saw a statistic
Huh?
saying they didn't
It was-
use
it was-
5 at all.
Now, granted, I don't know if it was an actual blitz or not. He could have been like a spy just chilling there, but the linebacker came in kind of a little bit after the snap.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't call that a blitz though.
Yeah,
That's probably
so it
just
was
a
like it
spy.
was. Yeah, so it was just he saw an opportunity and went in. But
Yeah, from
yeah.
what I read, now I don't know how true this is because I don't want to look up that statistic, but
Right.
I read that they never rushed with 5 men at once.
Right. Yeah, no, it, like I said in our little group text, like, it reminded me of that Giants-Patriots game. Where it's just constant pressure from 4 dudes.
Yeah.
Freaking
Yeah.
pissed me off. It was driving me nuts. But hey, it's how you do it, you know. So no, they're 100% the whole team. Like, I don't even think we could argue which side did better, but I think both offensive defensive side just absolutely dominated.
Yeah, the Eagles never blitzed a single time in the Super Bowl.
That's crazy.
And considering that they got like 6, 7 sacks, is
Yeah. And then interceptions, like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean
But,
that's just a dominant defensive performance if you never have to blitz and you're getting to the quarterback that much.
right. Well, and it's, I'm pretty sure I don't know if you guys saw it, but they made a lot of comparisons to this game with, obviously we're not focusing on the Chiefs losing, but it just showed the last time that Mahomes was this rattled is when he played the Bucks, and they pretty much did the same exact thing. So, and this is something that I've been saying. I don't know if you guys have ever recognized it or acknowledged it. I don't know, but I've always said Mahomes is not that good because he has time to throw the ball and runs around and then throws it to one of his speedsters. He cannot do check down. And then someone said, I think it might have been on ESPN, one of the radio shows. I had it listening at work. They're saying that whenever he gets intense pressure, he plays like a chicken with his head cut off. Like he gets out of pressure. Instead of sitting in the pocket waiting just that extra second to throw the ball, he gets skittish, and then all of a sudden he's running all over the place.
I think what it is, he's always looking for the big play instead of the safe play. Like, very
Right.
opposite of Brady. Brady, I felt like, very much looked for the safe play, and that's why he was so successful, is that he often looked for the safe play.
Well, and he knew it was going to open, too. So I think it's something that even the man himself, Tom Brady's even said. He's like, nowadays, he's like, some of these kids, like, they don't know how to call plays. They don't know how to read defenses.
Because a lot of it just comes through their headset.
But yeah, so it's like, that's my point. It's like, once it kind of is game time, let's say that's what they have in their head. It's like, oh, it's going to, if you're playing Xbox, oh, that's going to the X route. I have to throw it there. Like, you don't even look at the other field. It's like, oh, we have to throw it here. And when that blows up, they freak out.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm guilty of that when I play Madden. I do hot routes for like one or two guys, and I'm like, it's going to this guy. Unless this guy's is double covered, then it's going to this guy. I'm not even gonna look.
Yep.
Hey, it works.
It does.
Especially when you have
traditionally the check down play right across the middle to your tight end?
Traditionally, yes.
Or to the outside on your tight end.
Yeah. Or
and isn't Mahomes and Kelsey like one of the dynamic duos? So
Sorry.
I'm a little confused on the comment about him struggling with the check down, but maybe I don't fully understand.
I think Kelsey is more used on the outside than doing like a slant or an in route towards the middle.
No. He's
Kelsey's
more
also Kelsey's this interesting combination of where he is a tight end, but he also functions a lot like a receiver.
Yeah, he's more the receiver type. So yes, he can do checkdowns, but he's not like efficient at it, like enough to be like, oh, it's always going to go to him. So they usually put it to like Pacheco or.
Whereas like with Gronk was very much a check down guy.
Yeah.
I saw more checkdowns from Noah Gray this season than I did Travis Kelsey for that team.
Correct. But
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But,
okay, so
plus I wanted to stall a little bit because our next topic we have to have McKay
I was gonna say, I'm like, I was skipping over that solely because I am still waiting to hear McKay's review of this halftime show.
Oh yeah, I'm anxious.
All right,
take it away.
Well, okay, so I have pretty much all my comments about it as a diehard Kendrick fan are positive. The only con, I can't remember if I've mentioned this to some of you. The only con, I guess, the only thing that I didn't like about this show is I wish he played more of his older stuff. He didn't really do a lot of his stuff from his older albums, which is kind of more the stuff that I like. He mostly just fixed a lot of the playlist on his newer album, which I love his new album, don't get me wrong, and stuff like that. But as far as the halftime show, I think this is the common thing I've seen on the internet, and I think I agree with it. If you are not a major fan of him or his type of music, this halftime show was probably an absolute snooze fest
Yeah,
for you.
my wife hated this halftime show.
But if
Yep.
you appreciate that type of music like I do and like many others did, you could find appreciation in the show and some of the subtle nuances. Kendrick's very much the type of person who he tries to, put subtlety into everything he does. There's a reason why he's a Pulitzer Prize winning author and why colleges actually analyze his lyrics is because of stuff that he does in there just to put hidden meanings in there. And that was clearly on case for the branding for this halftime show. But honestly, the halftime show, it's a little easier to piece together that the biggest message that Kendrick Lamar wanted to send in that halftime show was, well, it was a message to Drake, and
Yep.
it was
Oh,
it was it was quite the message.
Let's
Yep.
keep it PG for this, but message was sent and received.
yep.
I will say
It
I
sure
did
feels
enjoy Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam.
Oh yeah, I was
Yep.
enjoying that too.
Yeah, that
I
was
got
a hoot.
I got a good laugh out of Serena Williams crip walking up there.
Yep.
I might want to mention to you guys too, Shane. You mentioned on our group chat too that Serena Williams is Drake's ex. So is SZA,
Yep.
who is who was the guest artist with
Yeah.
with Kendrick. And I don't know. I really liked the show. I loved SZA's performance. I love that they played all the stars. I mean, I fell in love with that song when Black Panther came out. What is it? Almost 7 years ago. It actually hardcore had me reminiscing for 2018 and
Rest
missing
in peace, Chadwick
Boseman.
Boseman.
Exactly. I was that brought some good feelings in there. Playing Not Like Us, having him smile at the camera when he said, "Hey Drake," having DJ Mustard come up onto the floor and actually
Yeah.
get credit where credit was due. A lot of really really cool moments that I was a big fan of. Like I said, just to wrap up my review here. I understand a lot of people probably didn't like it, but I definitely did, and I know a lot of
Yeah.
other people did too.
No, I will say I was a little bit worried that Bad Blood was gonna start playing, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
especially towards like the middle where he didn't really have anyone coming in, and I was like, oh great, Taylor Swift's gonna come in, and it's just like, please, no, it didn't
One
happen.
last,
So
yeah. One last thing
So
that I'll
glad.
add too, just to kind of like explain that to those of us here who anyone listening, any of you guys who aren't familiar with Kendrick and his music and stuff like that too. He was doing all of that free flow out there. I mean, his flow was amazing the entire time he did it. He never broke at any point. And what's amazing about the fact that he never broke is, keep in mind, his lyrics are actually usually quite explicit, but he had to keep it family friendly for the Super Bowl, so he was self-censoring himself without missing a beat up there the entire
Right.
show. That's pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah,
I was impressed with it
Yeah.
for sure.
I
It
think
it was
the
fun to
best-
watch.
Is it the best halftime show of all time? No, absolutely not. I
No.
think Matt, I'm still in agreement with you that one of the best ones
Yeah.
I've seen was what we talked about, which was the one a couple of years ago, which had Kendrick in it, but it also had Eminem, Snoop, Dre.
oh,
I know
that
Shane
one
really
was
liked.
a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that one
I
was
know Shane.
just.
I know
so
Shane. You
good.
love Shakira and J Lo, and rightfully so. It was an awesome show.
It was one that I felt like a lot of people enjoyed and just kind of got up and danced to and enjoyed it.
And it was a pleasant surprise. I thought that show was going to be a dud, and
You
it actually
did.
ended up being really good.
And I kept trying to tell you, I'm like,
Mhm.
don't doubt Shakira.
I was so when J Lo was up there, because obviously Shakira came out.
J Lo bored
after?
me.
My parents were like, "Dude, she's shaking it way too much," and they started making fun of it. Like it's like, well, that's like super. What's she doing? Why are we seeing that? And then Shakira came on, and I'm like, and I stayed silent. I was like,
Think what
I'll
Oh,
just sit
no.
here and watch. I'll enjoy.
Shakira was like 50 years old too.
It was J Lo, actually.
Yeah, but J Lo's
Shakira's not 58 or not 50. She is currently 48.
I was gonna say
Okay.
she's not 50s yet.
But I mean, she was like
Not
40,
50. 2 years
44.
off.
J-Lo was about 50 though.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's what I would say with the halftime
Yeah.
show. Definitely a cool show. Funny how social media has just run wild with it since then.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
all the talk about it. That's been entertaining for sure. But you
Oh,
got to
yeah,
admit too,
100%.
this is
J-Lo was.
this is prime. This is prime time for Kendrick Lamar right now because I can't remember if I had talked about it on here, but what did
You
he
did.
do just about a week before the halftime show? He won 5 Grammys. He won every single Grammy he was nominated in
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
this year.
which is
That's
wild.
crazy.
All for the song that's not like us, which is a diss track against Drake.
Yep.
Wild.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to some of these other things because I think we can breeze through some
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely. Yeah, we
Sure,
kind of
sure.
talked about, as far as the whole game in of itself. Did we? I stepped out for a minute. Did we talk much about the ref factor?
No.
I think we at the start said the refs were very minimal and kind of just let them play
Yeah.
for the most part. There were
No,
a couple of
that's-
controversial calls, but
There were 2 soft calls at the beginning. One against the Eagles, one against.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the one that everyone keeps bringing up, it really doesn't matter.
The
It
missed
would have
call.
affected the game at all. Where
Mhm.
Mahomes got his face pushed in. Like, oh no. Like, it's not like it would have been game changer if they gave
Yeah,
him.
No.
the Eagles were already running away with it at that
Yeah.
point.
Like,
Yeah.
but other than that, I think they let them play. Like, obviously, they weren't petty about anything, and I think the refs did a great job. They did what they're supposed to do. Yes, they called the big stuff, but other than that, they let them play and let them compete.
Yeah.
It's probably the right move too, because it
Yeah.
did feel like there were more Eagles fans in that building than there were Chiefs fans, and the biggest reason I make reference to that is when they showed Taylor Swift on the jumbotron and the crowd erupted in boos. That was
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then she's like, "What's going on?" It's like, you know what's going on.
See what really happened? The conspiracy theory is that the Chiefs' check to the refs bounced.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
That's why we got the
Funds
soft
were-
call at the
the
start.
funds were
and then
cut
it
off. They
dropped.
didn't get there in time.
Yeah.
The banks were closed.
It's just funny though that that it ended up being a loss for the Chiefs because the two I guess from what I was reading, the 2 most high profile individuals who were there visiting in the crowd were both rooting for the Chiefs, that being Taylor Swift and President Trump. And
Right.
they both they're just like, okay, well, nope, that's not it. Chiefs lost. Bye bye.
Yep.
Moving on.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think with the next couple topics we got, I think we already covered why the Eagles won, Chiefs lost. I feel like
We
you said,
covered that.
we covered it, so it's like we can kind of just move on, or do you guys want
Yeah.
to touch more on those?
Oh, let's talk about the NFL awards.
All
'cause
right. Yeah.
Yeah. The awards, here's the thing. You guys let me know if you feel differently. I actually agree with a lot of the candidates who did, in fact, win their respective awards. I got a
Right.
little bit of controversy on some things, but for the most part, I feel like the right picks were made. Do you guys disagree?
No.
I would agree with your definition. I want to well, not your definition. Sorry, I'm confusing what I'm saying. I agree with what you said. I would like a definition for comeback player of the year. That's
Yeah.
because I love Joe Burrow. I think he's very deserving of all the accolades. But is he really a comeback player after a fantastic season with an injury, but not an injury that's going to go down in time as anything crazy?
Yeah. I thought about that as well because that also is his second comeback player of the year award all time for, first the knee injury and then now for the wrist injury. And first one made sense, right? That was a really messed up knee injury, but then the
Right.
very next year he's in the Super Bowl. That one made sense.
Right.
This one, I think you're right. I don't disagree with him getting that award per se. I would just like an expanded definition on it too, because honestly, if we did change the definition, and we're more, focusing on like what is the terms of comeback player of the year, the criteria with that. I think Sam Darnold was deserving.
Sam Darnold should have gotten if it's based off
Mhm.
100%. 100%. The best. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go
Matt.
ahead. I was saying, but again, it's like, okay, what is it really the definition? Because who else was a candidate is my question. Like, who else was on that list?
I think it was those two, and I think it came down to those two. Now,
Right.
for different reasons. Now, here's the first thing. I understand that with NFL awards, you're not supposed to take postseason into consideration, which technically, if we did, then Sam Darnold would get it because his team made the postseason. Joe Burrow's did not.
Right.
Probably the biggest reason why they did take Joe Burrow over Sam Darnold is if we're going off of pure individual stats alone, Burrow was more impressive than Darnold.
Okay, so I got all of them. It was Burrow, Darnold, Dobbins, DeMar Hamlin, and Christian Gonzalez.
Dobbins got hurt again partway through.
DeMar Hamlin.
I feel like
just
Hamlin was
didn't do
pretty
much.
deserving.
Yeah, bro, that's like
Talk
2
about
years ago. You
serious
almost
adversity.
died. Get over it.
I
I could-
think if
ahead.
I had to vote in this, I would have gone with Darnold.
I think I would have as well.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
talk about
actually
underrated.
Who I
Talk
have.
about the player that we all were pretty sure would do okay, but would not excel, would not be a great step in. But if we're looking for someone who in some way overcame adversity to be able to come back and become something special this year, I don't look at the season and think, oh yeah, Joe Burrow. I don't know.
Well, let's take it one step further here, gentlemen. Sound off here at this moment. Did any of us here, even before the JJ McCarthy news, have the Vikings making the playoffs this year?
No,
Heavens no.
No.
Did
I thought they were
any
going to
of
be.
us?
I thought they were a first pick contender.
Yep. And did our perception change even more after the JJ McCarthy
Yes.
injury? Because mine did. I thought to myself, wow,
100%.
now they're
Well,
really
actually,
in trouble.
Actually, I can't. I have to not lie. I think I was like, I think they could do something with Sam Darnold.
Okay.
I did not.
I was one of those that at the beginning I was like, he could. Like, it's a new team. They know he's the one. He's the only choice. Like, he's gonna have to make it a break.
I went as far, and this is probably too extreme. I remember talking to McKay about this and saying, "Oh my gosh, what are they going to do? Do they need to start letting players go? And did they just ruin this run at the Super Bowl that they're trying to put together with the? I don't know. I was ready to sell the ship. I didn't think the Vikings would be anything this year, especially after JJ McCarthy was gone. And I was like, crap, this is it. But look at where they ended.
Yeah.
I may have overreacted, but I definitely had low expectations for him.
Well, let's
Yeah.
transition here really quickly then. I know, okay, let's just, I'll go through it really quickly here. Ben Johnson, assistant coach of the year, pretty deserving, right? I mean, he's got a head coaching spot now, was very inventive with the play calling, 1 seed, makes sense.
Right.
Yep.
But then going back to the Vikings, we got Kevin O'Connell winning Coach of the Year. I think that one's very deserving because so
Yeah.
many of us had written the Vikings off. I know Darnold's only one part of the equation. The other part of the equation is O'Connell.
Yeah.
With what he had after Kirk Cousins moved on, it's impressive. I think that one definitely deserved.
Yeah.
I had no issues with that.
Jared Verse as Defensive Rookie of the Year, no issues there. I thought he did great.
Yep.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. Technically, I have no issue with this, except for the fact that Bo Nix's stats were almost identical.
Yes. Yeah, that's where I'm a little bit torn.
Yeah.
It's like he kind of already came in with the Commanders that have shown that they have some life.
Yeah.
Bo Nix went in there after the aftermath of Russell Wilson. So
And
I
I-
personally feel like he did better on where the team was at when they started.
And let me take this approach here too. That okay, remember we talked about this earlier with Joe Burrow. You're not taking postseason into consideration with these awards. So the fact that Jaden Daniels made an NFC Championship game and Bo Nix did not does not play a factor here. So if it were in my mind, As a voter, yeah, absolutely. Jane Daniels, on paper, as far as in the view of the public, yeah, he was more impressive than Bo Nix. But Matt, I agree with what you're saying. It seemed like the Commanders were already moving in a direction where they could show signs of life in that regard, whereas the Broncos had not been to the playoffs in nearly a decade, and Bo Nix was a big part of breaking that streak.
I think what comes
And
down, I think
that
what
doesn't
comes
factor for
to,
Pokey. Sorry.
I think what comes down to for me is that I think looking back on the season, you like we're talking about stats, yes, like paper's always different than film, and I think what it is that Jaden Daniels just had flashier plays.
Yes, I agree.
I
I would
agree
agree.
with what Shane's
Three,
saying.
one.
If it almost seemed kind of like and this is going to come into play later with Josh Allen, but it felt like um there was times when I felt like Jaden Daniels picked up the Commanders and carried them a little single-handedly, whereas I never quite got that vibe from Bo Nix, despite him playing really well and really consistently. I never felt like Bo Nix just won this game. I felt like, oh, the Broncos won a game. Bo Nix was a big part of it.
Yeah. Well, and maybe one more thing to add too, again, just because this always does play a factor. I think on a media level, the narrative was already written before the season had started. They had already, the media, as far as upcoming rookie quarterbacks who are offensive rookie of the year for consideration, I really do believe the media already wrote off Bo Nix, they already wrote off J.J. McCarthy, and they already wrote off Drake May. They put it between Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams did not pan out, so they said, okay, cool, Jaden Daniels is a shoo-in.
Expectations is what you're saying.
Exactly, yeah.
He fulfilled the expectation, and so he was highlighted.
Exactly. And his competition definitely did not fulfill the expectations, so it was easy for that to take place.
But here's part of my question. Let's say we switch these two teams. Do you think that makes a big enough difference that one of the maybe now Bo Nix on the Commanders is now the rookie of the year?
That's tough. I see where you're coming from there because I think one thing that we talk about as far as Jaden Daniels and his ability, which probably did warrant him for offensive rookie of the year, is the guy has legs.
Yeah.
He's a young Lamar Jackson or an even younger Michael Vick at this point. He has that benefit to him.
I mean, I will say that the top 5 for the rookie of the year is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So at number 1, the favorite and the winner was Jaden Daniels. Number 2 for the favorite to win was Brock Bowers.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
approve of.
Which I
deserved.
get. 3rd was
Yep.
Bo. 4 was Brian Thomas Jr., which I get that one as well. And then 5 was Bucky Irving.
Yeah, which I agree with. Actually, he did good. Honestly, I really wish I'd picked him up in fantasy sooner after Rachaad White turned out to be a dud this year.
True story.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I think that kind of just puts it into perspective right there.
Yeah.
I am super impressed with Brock. I just got to say,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, definitely.
easily. I would even argue and say maybe the best thing that came out of the draft, which maybe hypothetically, and maybe that's too bold a statement, but maybe gives him that I feel like we have good quarterbacks come out of the draft, and so it's not surprising to see a Jaden Daniels and a Bo Nix, but to see that caliber of a tight end come and play for the Raiders the way he did, just blew my socks off.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here later as far as rising stars. But moving on here with the awards, I'm going to kind of try and wrap this up here a little because I know there's a big part we want to talk about here. Defensive Player of the Year. Honestly, Pat Surtain was kind of a surprise to me, but I'm not in disagreement with it. I think it was well deserved. Top defense being there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if Aiden Hutchinson had stayed healthy, he would be in that spot, but obviously that won't happen.
Yep.
Fair.
And the next 2 picks we have, I 100% agree. Especially ordered.
Yeah, I agree with Saquon Barkley winning Offensive Player of the Year, and I agree with Josh Allen winning MVP. But I think one thing that probably needs to be changed now, though, is they need to solely reserve the Offensive Player of the Year award for a offensive position player that is not quarterback, and give the MVP solely to quarterback. They need to make the distinction from now on.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I think that's been the argument for years, though.
Yep. Now they just need to officially change the criteria.
Right. I like
Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is just a fun little question that I came across today too. That I thought it'd be fun for us to look back on before we go into our For the Fun. Gentlemen, there are, according to the NFL, with their rules and considerations, there are specifically 5 stadiums within the NFL that will never, I wrote hide, but will never host a Super Bowl. The question is why, and specific reasons why for each stadium or location, why these will never host a Super Bowl. Now, let's make sure we have this clear. There are only 5, so there may be some that are on this list that you think, well, they shouldn't be on that list either, or they should be, excuse me, because of one reason or another. But yet, technically, they are being considered by the NFL. Not likely, but they are considered. There's only 5 that they've already said, nope, not happening. No way is that going to work out. And it's for 3 reasons. I'll get into those 3 reasons first before we go into what we think those 5 stadiums are. Those 3 reasons, first and foremost.
Can I guess at one of them?
I've read.
Yeah, we'll do guessing here in a second. But
Okay. Go ahead.
The first reason is nature, just as far as the conditions of weather and among other things.
Isn't
The
one
second
stadium
reason-
size?
One is stadium size, and the last one is infrastructure. Because remember that the Super Bowl is a media event that goes on a week beforehand. So you need to have a big, accessible downtown and city that makes it possible to host a Super Bowl. Those are the 3 big things that are taken into account as far as why these 5 specific stadiums will never host a Super Bowl. Now, what are those 5 stadiums? Let's have you guys take a guess what those 5 are. Who's going first?
Soldier Field.
Hold on. Before we lock that in, is this, when we say never host, do we mean never in the past or never will in the future?
Both, I believe.
Okay, because I think Soldier Field has held one in the past, because I know the Jaguars have hosted one in the past, but they are currently ineligible due to stadium size and infrastructure, which is why the new stadium's going up.
Actually, the TIAA Bank Stadium actually is still eligible.
Oh.
Because Jacksonville is a big enough location that it could be done.
I know they were talking for a while that the stadium size was too small, so it was being taken out, but the new stadium was going to allow for Super Bowl again.
Yeah, no, believe it or not, TIAA Bank is still being considered. But Tyler is correct. Soldier Field is one of the 5. And the biggest reason for it is the stadium size. It is the smallest stadium within the NFL. And the second reason, which kind of makes sense, is who wants to be outside in Chicago in February?
Nobody.
Okay, so Soldier Field is one guess. That's 1 of 5. What do we think the other 4 are?
I've got another good guess, but does someone else want to try?
The Browns. No one wants to go to Cleveland for a Super Bowl.
Believe it or not,
I was like,
Cleveland is
would.
eligible. Cleveland is eligible because Cleveland, infrastructurally, Cleveland can support because it's a big enough tourist destination.
Dang, that's crazy. That's
All right.
crazy.
Shane, you want to make your guess?
Oh, go ahead, Shane.
No, I'm thinking of teams right now.
Okay, let's go to Tyler then. Move it along.
Okay. My guess is FedEx with the Washington Commanders. Their stadium is like the weirdest freaking spot. Is that a factor?
It is not enough to make them ineligible, and the biggest reason
is
because of the fact that it is the nation's capital, and they still consider that market-wise.
I was so excited that I'd thought of that.
This one's gonna be wild, just because. What about Lambeau Field?
Lambeau Field is one of the 5.
Yeah, just because it's in a neighborhood.
It's freezing.
So it's freezing. So technically, the only one that it doesn't, the only rationale that it doesn't fly under is technically the stadium is big enough to hold it, but the weather is one concern, and Green Bay is the smallest market. The town only has 100,000 people. It cannot support a Super Bowl.
Right.
The entire week. So we've got 2 of the 5. What are the other 3? The other 3 might surprise you.
Let's go with Mile High
I
Stadium.
was gonna say Mile High would be a good one.
we're
It
gonna
gets
go off
cold
of
and hard to breathe.
Yeah.
Mile High is correct. The big reason is because of the altitude.
Yep.
Dang.
I'm gonna take a kind of
Just out of spite, can I
one.
say Arrowhead?
Arrowhead is eligible because of its size and it's in Kansas
Dang
City for
it.
infrastructure.
Yeah,
That's
Kansas has
unfortunate.
plenty of room.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping you'd say no.
I'll
though.
give you
What
the other
I
two.
was
The
gonna
other
say
two stadiums.
Heinz Field.
No,
Yeah.
or Heinz or Acrisure, whatever it is still eligible because of the infrastructure of Pittsburgh.
Dang.
Okay, what
So the
about
other two-
Highmark?
Highmark, believe it or not, because of Buffalo's size, is eligible.
Dang it.
Oh, the last
Okay.
two are. You're on the right track. The last two are both in the AFC.
What about Boston?
Gillette Stadium is one of
Yep.
them.
Yeah.
Now here's why.
Figured.
Here's why,
Impact?
Matt. Where is Gillette Stadium? Is it in Boston?
No, it's
No.
somewhere else.
In
It's in New
Foxborough.
I
Jersey.
was gonna say it's Foxborough.
Foxborough. Foxborough does not have an airport, and it's almost an hour outside of Boston when you factor in traffic, which means the travel for
Oh,
it
interesting.
is a nightmare. Plus, who wants to be in New England in February?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's the last
Baltimore?
one? Last one's probably gonna be the toughest one.
Baltimore?
Nope, M&T is eligible because of Baltimore's size.
Okay. So Steelers can, Baltimore can,
For the same weather reasons, Seattle.
Browns can, or it's AFC.
Seattle is eligible, and it's
Okay.
an AFC. Yep.
Seattle's pretty nice.
Was Cincinnati?
Yep, that's it, Shane.
Shoot.
Oh, the Bengals.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
Paycor Stadium, and the biggest reason is because yes, weather is a factor. And yes, it would be for Baltimore or for Pittsburgh or for Cleveland, but Cincinnati is not a tourist destination like Cleveland or Baltimore or Pittsburgh is.
Interesting.
So infrastructurally, no, Cincinnati cannot support. So there you have it. Those are the five, either because of weather or because of infrastructure or because of stadium size. Those five will never host a Super Bowl. So it's funny, we now have two of us here who we will never see our home team play in their home stadium for the Super Bowl, but it is what it is, especially when you play in a more northern part during the winter.
Right.
Ironically enough, Carolina has never hosted the Super Bowl.
And yet they would be eligible just because of location.
Oh,
I
no,
mean, I think
trust
we
me,
kind of all knew
it is
that.
in the smack middle of uptown Charlotte.
Now here's a
Yeah.
question: since we're on this subject, do you think they'll ever try to do a Super Bowl outside the U.S.?
I feel like we're gonna probably get a London Super Bowl if
No.
anything.
And probably not just because they know they need to focus on the American market. They know they would probably
Yeah.
tick some people off.
Right, but like, what would that open the door for? Especially if you go somewhere like Spain,
They'd have to
Paris,
get
or
more.
go to
They'd have to do
England.
more.
you know.
They'd have to do more games just beyond that here. And you know, there's some people. It's funny. I can say this because I know my wife's in the room listening somewhat, but she actually is one of those people who has an issue of why are we going international with some of these countries for games when we have certain cities here within the United States that, hey, what if just for funsies we brought a game there?
Yeah, trust me.
Are you talking like soccer stadiums?
No, just using a college stadium. You know what I mean?
I am
What you're saying is they
sick.
need to go to the University of Utah. Come to Utah
Nah,
for
just
the
go to
Super Bowl,
BYU.
right? Or Salt Lake. Yeah, let's do it.
But like that's an option because you know some college stadiums can definitely handle it. I mean, come on, the University of Michigan stadium is bigger than
Oh,
any
yeah.
NFL stadium for.
Right.
speed.
That's true.
I am so
Yeah.
sick of the Jaguars going to London 2 times a year. I'm sick of it.
Yep.
Anyway, it's interesting. It's interesting for sure. But with the time we have, let's go into our For the Fun, which is where we look back on the season here. I want to get some thoughts and opinions here on just a little bit of reminiscing here. So for starters, anyone have a nomination for a team that should have made the playoffs, where there was high expectation for them to do it, and they didn't?
Bengals.
I was gonna say I feel
Yep.
like Bengals is number 1 on that list.
Bengals.
Yep,
yeah.
I agree.
No one
Okay,
else
cool.
really strikes me.
Seems like we're all in easy agreement there.
Yep.
Okay. Which players this year significantly underperformed? I've got a list. Anyone
Brock
else got a
Purdy.
list? Brock Purdy, yeah.
Brock Purdy played as expected for me personally. I was gonna say CJ Stroud.
Well,
Yep,
just
I've
with
got
the
Stroud on my list.
I'll say with the weapons he had. Granted, they got hit with the injury bug, like a lot of people. I
Mhm.
feel like his upside was way higher.
Yeah.
Brandon
But
Ayuk.
yeah,
Here's-
that
Yeah.
I've got-
Oh, that's a
Robinson.
big one. That's a big one.
I've got Aaron Rodgers, Max Crosby,
Oh yeah.
I never expected
Jordan
Rodgers to do
Love.
much.
Dak Prescott, Cooper Kupp, Kyler Murray, and Kirk Cousins.
So with Cooper Cup though, does it count for Cooper Cup if really he's just being edged out as opposed to just sucking? Because I feel like Cooper Cup was dominant when he got the ball, but I feel like most of the time he's just being slowly worked out of the system by Puka.
I would agree with that, but the thing is, between injuries and the fact that when it really counted, Cooper Kupp wasn't accounting for anything, I'd say that that's a decline. And the fact that, yeah, he's being edged out, he's going to be traded here. And it's just wild to see that considering he was the best receiver in the NFL less than 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, and consistently in the top, what, 10?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, for the last
Yeah.
couple of years.
I mean, I'll say this: Caleb Williams as well.
Oh, that's a big one.
No, I can't
I
agree with
I
that.
didn't believe
It
in him,
prob-
but I'm just
I-
saying he
I
was
would
a
agree- yeah.
popular one.
I would say that, but I also have to look at him like he's a rookie. It's so tough sometimes to evaluate with rookies.
Right, but you look at what they brought in around him. I feel like he was coming
Yeah.
onto a pretty power-packed team of some pretty good veterans.
And yet they never fixed the O-line. And even me at the start of the season, I said, don't count on it because we never fixed the O-line. And sure enough, what was the biggest issue? The O-line.
The O-line.
Well, even
he
let's
got
just
sacked
say
so much.
with that one, even if they did have a good O line, I feel like he still would have fallen apart. Just
I
because
would
I've
agree with
seen
that.
him a lot in college. Yeah, he has his great moments, but when it's big game time, he just disappears.
Well, stat-wise, he is still good. And I think a lot of that, if you look on the USC side, it's actually more defense that causes the problem, which makes it difficult for him. But here's the comparison I'll use between Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels as to why Jaden Daniels is better. Jaden Daniels knows how to function without a fully capable offensive line. Caleb Williams does not. Jaden Daniels played without a decent O-line at Arizona State and at LSU. Caleb Williams always basically had the O-line until this year.
That's a great point. I didn't consider that.
But
Okay. What were the top 3 best plays of the season? I have 3 nominees if you guys want to hear it,
Do it.
before we nominate some other ones. Okay.
all right.
At number
Alright.
3, I have Josh Allen's rushing touchdown that came from a lateral from Amari Cooper.
Yes, amen. That was going to be one of mine.
That was a good play. I liked it.
At number 2, Saquon Barkley's backwards hurdle.
Dang, that was
Got
also.
that number 2?
I don't like that one. That was my least
Here's
favorite.
what. Well, you don't like that one because it was against the Jaguars, right,
Yes.
Shane?
Yes.
Well, imagine how I feel because guess what I have at number 1?
Jaden Daniels, Hail
Washington's
Mary.
Hail Mary.
Mhm.
Yep. No, I like that. I like that as a top 3 plays.
Any others?
Oh, there was one play that I think Brian Thomas Jr. made that was like a 62-yard touchdown that was pretty good. And I say it was pretty good because he had Matt Jones at quarterback, and I'm sure
Yeah.
Matt can attest how bad that is.
The fake fumble by the Lions was pretty good too. That resulted in a
Yeah.
touchdown.
That was pretty good.
Again against the Bears, so yeah, great.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I might be opening a can of worms here, but the next question is what needs to be changed for next season.
Please kickoff. We were talking about it earlier. I want the kickoff rules to go back to what they were.
I don't mind the kickoffs. I just don't like the onside kick rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they should like I said, I think they should modify the onside kick. Like keep it the same setup, but like I don't know, have it be weird. It's like if it bounces at like the 30-yard line and back, it's fair game to get the ball for the, kicking team. Just so that you can still try an onside kick without changing the formation entirely. If
Well,
you're going to stick with the new format for kickoff.
Or why don't we get super crazy and on kickoff, if they can aim for a field goal and if it goes in, they get 3 points.
Yeah, that would be nuts.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
Yeah.
And then the
And
other
then
teams
I
will
think
jump
that's
up to
probably
25.
I think the other big change that I am a huge advocate for is when it comes to penalties, there's no more automatic first downs.
Eh,
Oh.
Keep the yardage. But I feel like it's such a good bailout for any team. Like, oh, it's 3rd and 40. Oh, roughing the passer, 15 yards automatic first down. It's like, really? They're 40 yards back and you're gonna give them the first down.
I can
Like,
get on board with that.
no
I'm
more of that.
conflicted on
Give them the
that.
15 yards.
Yeah.
Cool. Give them 15 yards, but don't give them an automatic first down because it's just a bailout.
I'm
Call.
conflicted
But I
on
would-
that. I
I wouldn't
think what
mind
would.
them.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Shane.
All I was gonna say was I think to combat that they need to make penalties reviewable.
That's a good idea. I think the logistics of that get pretty deep, obviously, but I think maybe if they're not going to do automatic first downs, my guess is they probably have to extend some of the penalty yardage that teams will get.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You just adjust it. Like, targeting, it's a 20-yard penalty or something, instead of 15.
Right.
But I
Right.
don't think you should just give them an automatic first, because then you're just rewarding a team for sucking, and then it has one call, and then they get it all back. Like, I've just never been a fan of that. Like, if you got
Yeah.
sacked 3 times, and then all of a sudden on the last time it's face masking and it's automatic first, like, that's so.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
My only change.
All right. Okay, just going through these last two here. So we got who we've touched on this a little bit already. Who are the biggest rising stars we saw this season? I think we've already named a few: Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy, Cooper DeJean, and Brock Bowers. Anyone else want to throw a name in there?
I would say Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, I put him on
I'd
there.
agree with that.
What about Malik Neighbors? How do we feel about him?
He needs a quarterback. I said at the start of the season. I'll say it now. He needs a quarterback.
If he was anywhere else but the Giants, yes.
Yeah, kind of feel like that was going to be the answer.
And he still had his standout games. I don't think he was bad this year.
I think Cooper DeJean is going to be. I think you can put him in that rising star category, and not to get too much into it. It's just because he's white. People are like, "Oh, he's a white corner. He won't last." It's speed's a factor. I'm like, I think he played amazing all year. Plus, other than just being white, like he's actually a really good corner. Like he's So I think he'll be a good defensive captain. I think next year. Could see that.
Okay, last thing I want to address before we go into our question that we always do last at the end of this episode, because I know we're coming up on time, but this is one thing we do need to talk about because it actually is really funny, and we haven't addressed it just yet when it comes to the Super Bowl, and that is a little bit of hurt feelings that do exist. I say that funny with a little bit of pun there. Hurt feelings, or hurts feelings. Gentlemen, who is Kansas City's backup quarterback?
Carson Wentz.
I thought this was fantastic. It's another Super Bowl he's been to. It's what's his face?
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz.
And who kicked Carson Wentz to the curb when he was in Philly?
Hurts.
Yep. After Foles, obviously,
I
because
was gonna
technically
say
Nick
I'm
Foles
like
did it
technically
first.
Foles, but then Foles went to a bigger deal.
Right.
Anyway, it's just funny that apparently Jalen Hurts tried to go shake Carson Wentz's hand and he just ignored him.
Oh, really?
Yep, dead straight. Someone caught it. The camera caught it.
Just
Kind of a tool move. I hate stuff like that.
Yep.
Every player on that team's a crybaby. So.
Anyway, just thought it'd be funny. Okay, cool. Our last thing that we have here before we close out for the season is we need to talk about Super Bowl 60. Who we have as our picks for the two teams that will be playing in Super Bowl 60. So let's go around the board. As usual, we kick it off with Shane. Shane, who are your two teams in Super Bowl 60?
Man, I think next year might be their last real chance before something bad happens. I'm going to say the Ravens. They're going to go up against I think this is the last chance, possibly. The Lions.
The Lions.
Like it.
I mean,
Yeah, I
I
like
feel like Ravens Lions Super Bowl would honestly be awesome to watch.
Yeah, I agree. Matt?
Patriots and the Cowboys.
You.
All I gotta say is why.
Oh, I didn't realize we were doing fun answers. Sorry, hold on. I want to change mine.
Yeah, on that note, Shane, Bears and Jaguars, right?
Yep.
Hey, there we go.
That's
Let's
the
go.
fun answer.
The worst. But I think my pick on the NFC side is probably going to be the Lions. I for the same reason Shane said, I think this is their last chance before things get expensive and they just run out of money.
Coaches.
They can't keep who they got, which is the bane of everyone's existence. But I think Lions, and probably more than likely it's going to be the Eagles.
Lions and Eagles.
That's not
Okay.
possible.
That's not possible.
Oh no, I said Bills, not Eagles.
Oh, Bills. I
Bills.
heard Eagles. And I
I
was
heard
like,
Eagles as well.
Bills. I was like, not possible. I'm like, what? Is Josh Allen going to die in the offseason?
I hope not. For Haley Steinfeld.
For real.
Right?
Poor
Yeah, no.
Haley.
Bills and Lions is the pick I would have.
Shane knows this. I like to do wacky picks here that are like they are wild card picks, but they are still practical enough. I think I went a little too out in left field last year. Last year I had the Chiefs and the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, which is like really okay.
You got one half of that.
But yeah, but this pick I feel like is going to be be one that might be a little bit more accurate. Shane knows within the past few years that I have been predicting that this one will happen again because it has happened twice. Now this will be the third time that these two teams meet each other in the Super Bowl, and I do think it is certainly possible that it will be these two teams next year, and it would be another repeat case of history. Of history as far as location. My
You mean
two
the
teams that I
Giants and the Patriots?
Gosh,
yeah,
please no.
it's not. That's not my pick. That'd be funny though. That'd be great.
Just for the Patriots to lose again.
My two teams that I have in Super Bowl 60 have played each other twice, back in the 80s. I have the
Okay.
Cincinnati Bengals and the San Francisco 49ers.
Uh,
Not
I
bad.
like that.
It
like
is
that.
very wacky
and-
though.
It is a little
Bengals, I
wacky,
believe.
but I still believe that the time for the Bengals is not up just yet, and I believe that the 49ers, they go through these waves where it's like, with their team recently, where it's like, they are going to have a bad year because of injury bug, COVID, what have you, but then there's a resurgence afterwards, and, they're going to move on from Deebo Samuel, so they shed a little bit of space there for the Brock Purdy payment. The biggest thing that will play in factor-wise for that actually comes down to health. On the Bengals side, will Joe Burrow stay healthy? On the 49ers side, will Christian McCaffrey stay healthy?
Yeah. You're right.
But if
I
they
like
do stay
that.
healthy, I see two heavyweights right there.
I mean,
I
I
like
will
it.
say, imagine Ravens and 49ers like the matchup from, what was it, 12 years ago? 13 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2013.
Yeah, except it'll be basically a Derrick Henry versus CMC matchup.
But something to keep in mind, though, is if my prediction does come true and it is the Bengals versus the 49ers, is where I talked about the history example of it. Gentlemen, where is Super Bowl 60 being played? Anyone know?
I do not know so.
Santa Clara, where the Niners
Really?
play. Yep.
That'd be wild.
So it would just be like when the Rams and the Buccaneers won their Super Bowls in their home stadiums.
There you go.
We'll see.
Oh dang, I just looked up the Nets' 3 Super Bowls. Very interesting.
Mercedes-Benz. Falcons are getting ready.
Yep, Super Bowl
Mhm.
62, Falcons. Super Bowl 61 is SoFi.
I really wish, though, I'm just going to say this really quickly. I do wish that this next Super Bowl was not in California. I actually really wish it was in Philadelphia. and Shane knows this reason. I brought it up here before on the podcast. Next year is 2026. That is, oh, let me make sure I got this right. It's 200. Yeah, it's the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. Why wouldn't wear it all? I just think it would have been cool, personally. I
That
know
would
it's
have been
cold
cool.
there and everything, but I think it would have been cool.
Because there's a courtroom in stadium.
Yeah. All right, Tyler, finish us off here.
Bills and Eagles.
I think that's
I was leaning towards the Lions until I saw the Super Bowl, and then I looked at who's returning for the Eagles and realized it's pretty much going to be the same team next year.
Yep.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
Eagles are gonna be.
I
I was
also,
like, crap.
Even.
I also know we might be a little bit biased, the four of us here, but I do find it interesting that we are all expecting the Super Bowl hangover curse to take effect, and the loser of this year's Super Bowl will not be in the Super Bowl next year.
I think
Hopefully
they'll
that-
barely make the playoffs.
Oh, I think they'll make the playoff.
I don't know. I
I'm
think I
fully-
think the Chargers and the Broncos can make a run for their money.
Sure,
Just
but
to
I'm
have
still fully looking at. It wouldn't surprise me if I'm going off of my own personal predictions that the AFC Championship game is Bengals and Chiefs.
Yeah. So what if Andy Reid retires?
He's not going to. He already talked about that.
But
Yeah.
I'm saying he did, and he just kind of pulls a fast one in there. He just calls it quits,
Oh, like Andrew Luck style.
and just a couple weeks in after the postseason's done, all of a sudden he just goes, "Actually, I'm going to retire." Does that change your pick?
Yeah, I think it would. I don't trust Matt Nagy or Steve Spagnuolo to, be able to lead the same way Andy Reid did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time for
It's
me to send
interesting.
him a really good cheeseburger.
That was a good ad. Anyway, pretty confident on my Bills Eagles.
Yeah.
Of course, I
Wow.
was this year too, but
Yeah.
For real.
The Bills need to beat the stink off of what they have with the Chiefs. They either need another team to do it, or they need to figure out how to do it.
yeah. Trust me, there is no one I would rather see in the Super Bowl besides my Falcons than the Bills, and there's no one I would rather not see in the Super Bowl than the Eagles. But
Yeah.
here we are.
I'm still down for a Jaguars-Bears Super Bowl.
Me too.
Could
That'll
use a good
happen when pigs fly. All right, then. Everyone, that is Season 6. This has been fun. I have enjoyed that we have had four of us now make up the panel for this year, and I'm looking forward to doing this again when we have the draft come up in a couple of months and when we talk about it again going into next season.
We have to wait. I don't want to wait that long.
Painful.
I know I'm
Yeah.
going to make you guys all roll your eyes when I say this, but baseball players just reported for spring training today.
Meh.
Meh.
I
say we
that-
play Madden together in the off season.
Which
We
Madden
did.
now have the latest one?
If you have Game Pass, you do.
Oh, is it on Game Pass for the latest one?
On EA Play, yeah.
Oh, well, then I have it, I guess.
And we could just pick our teams and we could play and then do,
We could do a fantasy draft within Madden,
yeah, it'd be fun.
which always drives me insane, because then after I get, like, most of the office, I'm like, okay, I don't know what to really grab anymore.
Yeah.
It's too much work.
Yeah, it would help with our, no football pain. It'd be great.
But with that, we will see everyone draft day.
Oh, yeah.
As usual, we will be here for draft. We do, usually the first 10 picks?
Yeah, we might. Yeah, probably. We'll see. We always play it by ear, depending on how long it takes.
I mean, we got my team picking at number 5.
I think Bears picking at 10. Matt, or Patriots picking at 2?
Patriots pick 4.
Oh, 4.
It's,
Okay.
it's 4.
Jets
So-
at 5. Bears at 10. Falcons are at 15.
Well,
Yeah,
let's go to 15 and they cover all of us.
Like,
Right.
15 is always pushing it.
I know. I'm just trying to be, just having fun here.
Oh, yeah.
Shane.
Oh yeah, no. Draft is usually where I get special permission because I'm usually watching the draft the whole time, anyways.
Well, and
Hey,
we
I
have
like it.
fun on draft night. Come on, we've had some good
Oh.
moments, Shane, on draft night, like Michael Penix's pick last year.
That was
Or-
fun to listen to. I was going just as crazy.
Yep.
I
You could
think.
always do in person as well.
That'd be fun. I know that'd be a little tough for Shane, but that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's tough for
we'll
me
see.
in getting everything set up, and I would need to possibly get a laptop and try to figure out how to do audio for everybody.
You've got time.
Yeah.
It is very different to do it all in a room with microphones than it is to do on a Discord.
You've got time.
All
All right.
right.
We will see everyone draft day.